Oh boy, it's hot out here. Hey everybody, we're up north where it's a bit warmer, getting away from the Melbourne weather that's really cold in winter. It's a regular thing, it's been happening for years and it's going to continue. But what I wanted to quickly talk to you about was the spring selection for the back of the Patrol. So this is relevant to people that want to keep their y62 reliable and not mess around with the suspension too much, because it is a little bit complicated. I'm not going to put up on the hoist in this one and show you the independent suspension, how as you raise it up, it just comes in on massive angles to try and keep it as a simple explanation. But I did do that in another video. We've got a playlist there on our YouTube channel. It's something to do with the y62 Patrol, whatever it's called, but check that playlist out. And it's got all the relevant videos to this vehicle or these vehicles that you need to know to keep it real. That's what I'm going to do, keep it reliable. So I've always been a minimal modifications kind of guy, keep it reliable. You've really got to carefully consider what you do to vehicles modification wise, instead of just go in and throw the book at it, because you're just going to make it unreliable. You're going to make it chew fuel, you're going to make it handle badly, you're going to break CVs, you're going to just do damage to the vehicle. Sometimes it's not worth it. Now you can do whatever you like, each to their own. Everybody's different with what modifications they need and the purpose of the vehicle, what they're going to use it for. For me, I want to be really clear. I've got Prados, I've got a Hilux, I've got other cars, so I can choose which vehicle for what particular purpose of each trip, whatever the activity may be. This one, it's more of a purchase because I wasn't sure if I wanted one or not, and I had FOMO, fear of missing out. At some point in time, I might actually want a tow vehicle to safely tow something a little bit heavier. And I think being a heavier vehicle, it's probably going to help control a heavier whatever's going to be behind it, whether it's a caravan or whatever the case may be. So it's an option. I might decide that I don't like it. I might decide there's something better. I might buy something else, add another vehicle to the collection, you know, a 300 series or whatever. Who knows what I'm going to do next? I don't even know. So you certainly, hey, put it in the comments. Let me know what you think I'm going to do next. We'll talk a little bit more about the mobile solar farm in another video. Starlink information coming soon. Bada bing. But on this one, just want to talk about the suspension upgrade. Let's get down and have a bit of a closer look, and I'll talk about what we did and why, and the sort of weight it's going to be capable of offsetting. And there's different choices, absolutely. And remember, a spring's a spring. But let's have a look where this one sits. Look, I'm not sure if you've noticed, but people with y62 Patrols, they come out of the box stock standard with no extra weight added, and they sit pretty level. Where the Toyotas, like the Prado over here, or the 300s or the 200s or whatever for years, they've always had a bit of rake. That is, they sit a bit higher at the back, and that allows for a bit of loading and it might level out. You really don't want the vehicle like an old XE Falcon, you know, sitting on its back, down, front up. Just ridiculous, you know. What do we used to do on those? Cut the front coils because we wanted them lower. But they're full drive, so we want a bit more clearance underneath. And a lot of people think these come standard with good clearance. Well, I disagree. With a longer wheelbase, there's plenty of lack of clearance under here and plenty of things to hit. But I'm not talking about going off-road, doing heavy-duty off-road with this vehicle. I'm not saying you can't do it, but I don't think it's a good choice of a vehicle to do that with. This is a great choice of a vehicle for towing. And when I say that, I'm going to use the latest example. So we had someone in the comments on one of the YouTube videos just the other day, and he's probably watching this video. Can't remember his name, but he did a trip around Australia, more or less, I'm going to call it, towing a caravan up and down wherever. I think I'm just going by memory, it was 6,000 or 7,000 or 8,000 Ks. You can put it again in this comment if you like. He put the kilometre distance, he put the fuel used. I calculated and I said, well, that's about 22 litres per 100 Ks. I think he put the app, a picture of the app, or was that on a post on our Facebook group? We've got a Facebook group, Oz Y62 Patrol Crew. It's for the people that want to keep it reliable, gather information, and not just go straight in with full modifications, big wheels and tyres, suspension, extractors, everything, right? They just go to town. They haven't even got the car home yet, and everything's on the vehicle. You're making it heavier. Straight away, you're just making a heavier package. So this guy, it was around about a 6-ton combo between the car and the caravan, and he got 22 litres per 100 Ks. And I don't see any reason why that wouldn't be accurate. Certain conditions, of course, you're going to use more than that. 200 series, don't worry, they use plenty more than that. I know plenty of examples of people that actually really know how to work out their fuel economy towing, and there's no economical way to do it. Your most economical way to do it is tow with a Prado, but it might just do it a bit hard and it's a bit light. And this thing, highway speed, straight line, certainly handles a lot better. I do things like run the Prados off the edge of the road and stuff and see how and they're all a bit how you go. On this thing, mate, it will sit on the edge of the blacktop and just stay steady. This is awesome for straight line driving, and I've actually got used to it, driving it a lot, and I sort of like it now that I've got used to it. But what I'm going to explain is the Prado, you don't have to get used to it. You just get into it and you just one with the vehicle. Anyway, I could talk all day about these cars. I'm out in the hot sun, it's beautiful, but I'm looking forward to jumping the pool or a break in the aircon. We're looking at about sort of 32 degrees up here, 33, something like that, not bad. It's pretty dry at the moment. Suspension, so out of the box, they come out pretty level, right? You would have noticed, and it doesn't take much of adding weight to the rear for it to start going down, and that's what I noticed. So I didn't do any modifications. First thing I did is I took the seats out and I noticed, oh yeah, it went up a little bit, and I fill it up and I empty the tank and I go, doesn't make much difference. And I'm just looking at it going, oh yeah, just trying to notice. I don't know if you can notice, but this one, it sits a little bit higher at the rear now than the front, even though it's got some extra weight in there. So let's look at what I did, and then I'll tell you the spring that I put in there, because I'm quite happy with it. I didn't want to do it in previous videos because I wasn't sure how it was going to work out. This is a no wheel alignment modification. As long as you've added some weight, or as long as you don't mind it just going a little bit higher, there's a range that this vehicle will work in, just like your front independent suspension on the Prados, that you can modify without even getting a wheel alignment, okay? And some people tell you, oh, that's wrong, you got to get you got to choose who you listen to. That's why I've got my group, I've got my channel. I'm the vehicle technician, not just the awesome, I've got a y62 patrol and a shop and we do all the mods and throw the book at it. This is the reliable option, okay? This vehicle, it has not had a wheel alignment, okay? It's not raised or modified in such a way that we've changed a lot of angle here. And when people do change the height of this vehicle, quite often it is going to need a massive alignment and other modifications to go with it, so that you don't cause problems. It's going to cause handling problems if you don't get it set up right. You've got to be really careful what you choose to do. So firstly, while we're here, let's have a look. We've got the roller Titan tray on the ridge mount with a massive domestic 400 watt solar panel. It's got quite a bit of weight to it. A lot of that is towards the front of the vehicle though. It's a balance, but it's a lot of weight to the back as well. Let's just go and have a quick look in the back of the vehicle. So first thing I did is I started from scratch. I got the vehicle new, had nothing in here, stock standard. Take a look at it, it's about level. There's certainly no rake there. If I can't see it and it's within 10 mil, we're talking nothing. And what that means is when you start loading up the rear, it starts going down. It gets closer to the bump stops. You've got less clearance down underneath it, and it's not an ideal situation for a four-wheel drive. And to be honest, the springs that are in this vehicle, should be what Nissan put in, stock standard out of the box. You wouldn't need to change anything other than put these springs in. Just my opinion, of course. Depends how you use the vehicle. Now, if you loaded the vehicle up with 8 people, what was it, an 8-seater? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, must be an 8-seater, because normally there's a row of rear seats here and they're really quite heavy. If you load it up with people, it's going to be sitting low, right? As soon as you put the people in the car, which means the springs that are in the vehicle are not suitable for any load whatsoever, in my opinion, because it's sitting level. As soon as you load it up, it goes down, reducing your clearance. To me, I want the vehicle sitting no lower than that height when it's loaded. So this is just springs to compensate for a load. Now, what do I mean? So first thing I did after using the vehicle a little bit, taking notice of how level it sits. Sort of how level it sits, adding weight, subtracting weight, taking a bit of notice, up, down, all that sort of thing. That's the first thing I did. Then I went, okay, cool. I ripped the rear seats out. So you unbolt all of that. There's some trims and crap. You get it all out of the way. It is literally crap. What's in the back of these vehicles, to me, why would you buy a Patrol to carry 8 people around? Mate, if you didn't get the snip after, 3 or something, you got problems. Bada bing, bada boom, right? So, I learnt after 2. Some people, big family, 3 or 4 kids, it's cool, man. But look, 8-seater, a family of 6, man, you certainly should have learnt by then, which means back seats are a waste of time. Get them out of the car. and you should have spread it out a bit more if you want to have lots of kids. That way they can drive and take their own car, because maximum amount of people you want in a car is 5 people, but 4 is a lot more comfortable. So that's what we're dealing with, 4 or 5 people here. So rip the back seats out. That saved a whole heap of weight. And I actually come around and I look at the vehicle, right, and I go, it's sat a little bit higher, but not much, right? So I saved a little bit of weight there. Vehicle's empty, you got nuts and bolts and studs sticking up everywhere, and I dealt with that for a little while because I wanted to see what it was like with no weight. So we got no people, seats ripped out. We've actually saved what, at least probably 50 kilos. I didn't weigh it in, and I went, okay, cool. Then the first thing I did to offset that is I put in this HOON gear, the HOON shelf, storage shelf up there, because I go, I want to use that storage. I want cargo barrier for safety. If you've been watching my videos, if you haven't, better subscribe, turn the bell on. I shared info recently on Oz Prado Crew, because it was a Prado, so it's relevant to Prado, and also on one of our YouTube channels, 4x4 Adventures, which is not this channel, that's the other channel, spelt the same as 4x4 Diesel, just change the word to Adventures, subscribe, turn the bell on. I shared how the Prado rolled. We were out on a trip, we saw a car, it would roll. Long story short, the point is, he had a trolley jack in the vehicle somewhere. Unfortunately, the 8-year-old boy, his son, was dead at the scene, so not good. The missiles down the road, and I already know about this, but I'm just going to try and mention it again because it's important stuff. Missiles everywhere. So the point is, if you got it, I wouldn't carry a trolley jack, to be quite honest. The jack, it's secured away in its original position right there. That's how I roll. Put all your other spares in there you like, right? That lid's not going to hurt anything. The point is, anything you've got that's going to be a missile, you want in the back here, behind a cargo barrier. And KO might call that a light cargo barrier, but that's strong enough. It's not going anywhere. It might get bent and deformed and all that sort of thing. And what's even better is if you can fix this shelf to that barrier, which really, we need to talk to them about some brackets. If they've changed the design that they're separate, there needs to be option to secure it together. And you could easily have some L-shaped brackets that go from those holes there, L-shaped, using the holes at the back, and you want to have 3 along the back. I like it secure. That way when you pull your headrests and you fold your seats, the cargo barrier stays there like the old system did. So this one, it's a bit disappointing, to be honest. I say it how it is, right? Things were good at the start and things have changed to make it more universal for other people. I get it, because you might want just this without that or whatever. But look, to be honest, a lot of people have got it secured together from the old style. I've got that in other vehicles and I like it, and that's how I'd like it to be. We can't win them all, but 3 L-shaped brackets would solve that problem. So it's something we need to talk about. I can see right here the solution. You can see exactly what I mean, because we've got the holes all there ready to go. Anyway, talking about the springs, but I'm giving you max information with this spring option. So we added that in, and the weight of those shelves, cargo barrier, and the side molly panels and these little pockets that go on the side, handy, wouldn't be as heavy as the seats, right? But it started adding weight back to the vehicle. Then you can put things in there. I was also doing things like picking up some parts that were quite heavy, loading up the back of the vehicle, and then I could once again take a look, have a look-see, and go, oh yeah, you know, take a bit of a look and see how high or low the vehicle was at the rear with the weight in there and out, and just sort of just working out what the best solution is as far as springs and whether I should do what I was thinking of doing. You know, a lot of brain time, a lot of thinking time. You're worried I'm talking too long in this video. Well, this is nothing compared to the time that I spent thinking about this and making sure it's going to be a good solution. Now, so at this point, what I did, I knew I was going to add some more weight, and I'm going to use the vehicle. I'm going to use it. When it goes out for most of its driving, it's going to have a fridge and a fridge slide and some water and bags or camping gear or swags. This vehicle's had swags in the back of it. It's been on a couple of trips already, right? It's on its second major maiden voyage now. The other one was a small one where we had swags in there. Point is, it's going to have stuff in there, which means weight, which means the vehicle going down changes the wheel alignment just like the vehicle going up. Independent suspension. Let's just be really clear here. So what independent? So if you've got a live axle, you know, solid axle there, it moves up and down. The back wheels don't change angle at all, right? That's what like a Prado's got in the back of it. But all these other vehicles like this Volkswagen, independent front and rear. And that's what this Patrol, right, has got independent front and rear suspensions. That means when it goes up, the wheels go on an angle like that, the bottom goes in, top comes out. Well, not really, let's just call it bottom goes in, and as the vehicle goes down, the bottom comes out, so the camber changes. Most people know that, but I just thought I'd throw it in there for those that don't know. So this is the problematic part you've got when you want to modify an independent suspension vehicle. On a Prado, you set it up once, the front, because it's independent, you select the springs once, right? We go, okay, what do you got? You got a bull bar, you got a winch, you got bash plates, you got dual batteries, whatever you've got there. We set it up, that's it. It's the only time it's going to change is when you're going down a hill and up a hill, full driving. Take that into account, but you can't win them all. So going downhill, you're going to have less clearance. Going uphill, you're going to have more, but most of the time you're on flat ground, you're not loading or unloading the front, it's not going to change. The problem with an independent suspension vehicle at the rear, it's always going to change. You're going to come home from a trip, it's going to be unloaded. If you're not using the vehicle much else, like myself, then it doesn't really matter if it's unloaded and ends up higher. Now, depending how much higher it goes, whether it causes problems for you and your tyres. Now, people said, oh, if you modify these at the back and put springs, you've got to get a wheel alignment. You're going to chew your tyres out, all these things that are going to happen. Well, this vehicle, for a few thousand Ks, not modified, it didn't chew tyres out. Now it's got the springs in it we're a bit over 8,000 Ks now, and the tyres look like new. They're not chewing out. It's had no wheel alignment. What we've done, this is a spring that compensates for the weight, is what I'm trying to explain. So the spring, so what I did, I got onto the phone with my contacts in Dobinson's, which I've got a few contacts in there, and I spoke to someone with a last name Dobinson, doesn't really matter who, and we had a good chit chat about solutions. And I didn't look in the catalogue, and I don't think they're listed in the catalogue. It's something different. I will give you the number. I'm not telling you should go and get them and put them in, because my solution might not be your solution, but I'm going to explain it. He said to me, 35 mil lift. And I said, okay, well, is that a heavier spring or a longer spring or a bit of both? And I think the answer was, I don't know. And I said, is that 35 mil with no load or with some load? And he said, yeah, I don't know. I said, okay, well, send me a set and I'll let you know, right? So that's what I'm doing. I'm letting everybody know. I haven't let him know yet, but I'm letting you know. So I believe if you put those springs in, you'd get about a 35 mil lift, which isn't that much. The car going up that much, change your wheel alignment a little bit, it's not that much. It's not going to affect things much. It's going to help you if you're a lead foot, and when you take off hard, the vehicle goes, it bogs down at the back, which means the inside edge of the rear tyres might wear a bit more because you've got wheel slip and you've got the bog down factor. You're going to wear so this is going to help with that. This is going to help. This is going to be called the HOON spring. So even if you don't load it up, it's a good HOON spring. Now, I've only tested one vehicle, so I can only tell you that it worked for me without getting a wheel alignment. The vehicle's certainly sitting a little bit higher, and I believe it's about the 30 mil mark, but I've added some weight, then I've put the spring in, it's gone up, and then I've added some more weight. Because when I put the spring in, I think I had this steel up here, a little bit of things added in. I had that out, but I added things in. I think I had the floor in, the floor was in. I don't know if the fridge or the fridge slide, I don't think the fridge or the fridge slide was in when the springs went in, but I'm not sure. And we've added the solar panel, the roof rack. I think the roof rack was on, this steel was in, the floor was in, then the springs went in, and then later the fridge went in. And at the moment, then we added the solar panel on that's up there, which feels like 15, 20 kilos. It's heavy, it's a 400 watt solar panel, you know, domestic. What are they worth? Have a Google, put it in the comments. What do they weigh, sorry? At the moment, I've got a bit of water sitting there, probably 20 kilos. Not much, too much weight. Got an Optima lead battery there, 24 kilos in the box. And this thing sits beautiful, right? I can throw the bags in, it sits beautiful. I can load it up, I can fill it up with fuel, and it sits beautiful. I haven't seen it any lower than level. I wouldn't even say it's level. I'd say even when it's loaded, all the bags, all the fuel, all the water, and I've got the back full, and that's a typical load, full, I'd say it still probably sits a little bit higher than stock. So this spring just compensates for actually using the vehicle, is what I'm trying to say. But with all the details, so you understand, so you can make the decision. C45 375, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong. So you can Google that one up, see if it suits a patrol. I think it's a C45 375. Somewhere it quotes 35 mil. I don't believe it's on the standard listing, because when I had a bit of a look, when I was after some info, I couldn't find anything on it. But go ahead, put it in the comments. Now I'll tell you the weight that I've added in total when you look at it, right? So you can either load it up with a roof rack, a solar panel, a fridge slide, the floor, is not that heavy. It's lighter than the seats, but if you add the floor and all this HOON gear and the floor, could be getting close to the seats. So then we've got some water, we've got a battery, we've got a regulator there, you know, whatever, you know, that Victron thing there, 100/50, with that big heavy solar panel on the roof rack up there, and a fridge that's quite often full with these little caddy things all from HOON, right? They go on the molly panels. No, they don't rattle around actually, especially if you got all these pool noodles jammed into them and stuff like that. What does happen is you get a bit of flex in that shelf, and that's because I haven't put the front wall on there because I don't like the extra weight of the steel, but that would make it more rigid at the other end. But this end hasn't got that, it's got the folds, so I figure, but it does flex a little bit and you get a bit of going on with, see this, look, see that? So I'll tell you straight. So what would be ideal here is a divider is what I need that goes from the floor to there, and that would help secure all of that. But that's a separate video. I'm talking about the springs here. But stay tuned, subscribe, turn the bell on both of our YouTube channels, all of our Facebook groups that might be relevant. We've got one called 4x4 Adventures. I'm going to show you all the touring setup stuff in there in more detail. It's already there. It's probably a playlist there as well. Point is, if you add up, take out the seats, chuck in the HOON stuff and the floor, and your roller Titan tray on the ridge mount roof rack, you're probably about the same weight as the seats been in there because they're bloody heavy. Then you can add your water, your battery box, your fridge. There's a few wires, there's a fridge slide. You've added quite a bit of weight, and with that sort of loading, which is my daily, I was just going to take this in and out. This is all temporary. I've got the wire through past the seal here. I've got the Starlink set up, just comes in here at the bottom, goes in there, show you in another video. There'll be another video soon. Anyway, each to their own, but this was a temporary in and out thing, mate. Just take the screws back out, right? It's just screwed to the floor like that, and just zip it back out, right? The wire power supply, corrugated split tubing for just in case. Fridge slide comes with the straps. Fridge was a inheritance, just giving it a run. Seems to work all right. It's been going for many years, right? So the springs, I'm super happy with them for my setup. Now, we can call them a HOON spring, we can call them a towing spring. I'll probably call the video, you might want this spring if you're a HOON or if you're towing or something like that, because it is a HOON spring. It's a towing spring, or it's I want to load up the vehicle and use it spring without modifying anything else. Like I said, expensive, difficult to modify this suspension is what it seems. If it's for towing, if it's for touring, what we're doing, it's not the vehicle for heavy duty off-roading in my opinion, because of the talk about the independent suspension, the CVs, all this sort of thing. Might be a strong driveline, but it's not like what it used to be compared to like a GU Patrol, GQ Patrol, all that sort of thing, right? It's all changed, right? People lost it when Nissan went, they're going to go independent suspension, right? They lost it. Anyway, you've got the spring number. If you were to have a Patrol and not have any roof rack because you don't need it because you've got a caravan, and not put in your false floor, just rip your seats out, rip your fridge out, leave all this stuff empty. I've done a little test of my own. I've kind of gone, well, sorry, take the seats out, you've saved a bit of weight, but if you put the weight on the tow bar, it's going to go down a bit anyway, right? It's a spring, it's always going to go up and down. I don't know if this one's firmer or not. Haven't done this yet, haven't hooked anything on that's heavy. I've loaded the back up and hooked the trailer on, sits beautiful. So I've done a few things to give me an indication that I believe if I hooked on a 2.5 ton caravan with 200 kilos on the tow ball, this spring is going to be really suitable. But maybe not the same time as having a fridge fully loaded with a fridge slide and a battery and all this gear and a solar panel and all that. But if you've got a caravan, it's got all the gear, it's got the fridge, it can have the solar panels. What do we need in here? Not much really. You might have a fridge, you might not. But what I'm saying is if you don't have the water because it's in the van, saves weight, you don't have the battery, you don't have the fridge, you got your flat floor just to throw stuff in. Not drawer systems. Drawer systems are just heavy. They take up a lot of space. They don't make space, they take up a lot of space. Some vehicles, you've got to be very careful how you do your setup. Storage systems are awesome. I've got those in other vehicles, as you know. But having it open storage space is quite good as well. As you can see here, you can put in storage boxes. But there's going to be upgrades to this storage system. Like I said, the divider. I've been working with HOON, talking to them. HOON, you know, HOON. about the drop down storage. So drop down from that side there and across, joining that divider cargo barrier, which will give us storage shelf here to put a box on or a drawer, whatever you want to store stuff, so that you just pull your fridge out like that. That's why you have a slide, easier access. But at the moment, as you can see, you can't load things on top of your fridge. But all in other videos, I just want to be really clear about what's going on here with the springs. It sits awesome, 100% happy. I'm not changing them. It's not going to break anything. It's not going to void any warranty. All you need to do is say, all I've done is change the springs to compensate for a loaded vehicle. It's sitting at the same height. The wheel alignment hasn't been touched. Think it through, everybody. It's not going to harm anything else underneath there. You're not going to break your control arms. People, I don't know what they're doing to break those and need aftermarket ones. Each to their own. Keep it simple. This sort of vehicle, this is the cheap, reliable, slight modification for hoons, for loading, for towing. Bada bing, bada boom. Works for me. That's where it's at the moment. If I unload it, I'm going to probably have 20 to 30 mil lift. If I leave it as it is, it's probably got 10 mil lift. If I put a caravan on there, it's probably to have minus 10 or 20 mil lift, which is not bad either. It's still within that range. If you have a stock standard spring and you add this weight in there, it's going to be much lower. And you put your caravan on, you're going to be driving around like that. It's going to look ridiculous. Now, if you've got a caravan that's too light on the tow ball, that's dangerous. You don't want that, but you've got to understand you don't necessarily want 10% of the weight. If you've got a 3-ton caravan and you put 300 kilos on here, probably not required, but you're going to need some assistance. And for people that do things like that, and for some people that don't change the springs, you're definitely going to need some airbags. So a lot of people think you've got to have airbags, and straight away they go and get airbags. Get airbags installation. It's going to cost you over $1,000 supplied and fitted, well over. They're probably going to be close to $1,000 for the airbags, and then you've got the installation. Bada bing. Now, to me, it's a no-brainer. If you're planning to tow, load, or hoon, you can put the airbags if you want. But the springs are a much cheaper value for money option that are more reliable than airbags. Do that as a step 1 before you go to step 2. Go to step 1, see how you go. If you've got quite a load here, I believe I can put 200 kilos on there. If I haven't got some of this in there, and it's still going to sit sweet within factory range. Because at the moment, having it fully loaded, as I've said, I think it sits a little bit higher, fully loaded than factory. So if I was to take the water out, the battery out, the fridge out, the solar panel off, and I've got a caravan on the back, it's going to be about right, because I'm about a hunch. So if I get on that tow bar, it didn't change much. It still sat nice. They said it was still higher at the back than the front, with this loaded, full of car parts, very heavy, and me on the tow bar, it sat sweet. So I would be putting this spring in my opinion, unless you're going to be a soccer mum's car that doesn't do anything other than have a big luxurious car with up to 4 or 5 people in it. Hey, don't do anything. But if you're going to tow a caravan, hoon, or load it up, C45375, if I remember the number correctly. Bada bing, bada boom. The beep, beep, beep must mean I've talked enough. Catch you in the next video. Hey, look, you got to hit the like button for all that info, don't you? Bada bing. See ya on the next one. Starlink.